Welcome along to South Today's Sport. Time to turn our attention now to netball with the ANZ Championship just a month away, and the Steel back from a very successful pre-season tournament in Melbourne over the weekend. Assistant coach Natalie Avellino to tell us all. Good evening, Natalie. Welcome along.
Hi, Tom.
It was good to get such strong opposition in such a congested period.
Yeah, it was. It was unfortunate we couldn't play in the format we played last year, where all teams participated in Tauranga. So it was great for Melbourne to host us, and a great opportunity for us to play the 5 Aussie teams, which is what we really needed.
And a bit of arduous travel just to get used to that as well.
Yeah, it was. It was a 9-hour trip from Auckland to Melbourne, 2-hour wait for our luggage. So it was a long day on our first day. But, you know, you've got to expect these things, and, you know, I think we coped reasonably well.
Pretty hard games first up, a couple of very strong Australian teams.
Yeah, we played the Vixens first up and had a big loss against them. And you know, they are last year's finalists, and they've only had one real big change, or 2 changes, wing defence and in the centre. But Cheryl McMahon was back for them, and she looked in pretty good form. So that's a scary sight, I'm sure, for all New Zealand supporters. But they're pretty fast and quick, and we've only played against each other at training. So to come up at that different style, I think blew some of the girls away. So our next game against the Mystics was a good win. And yeah, the Mystics aren't looking as strong as they were last year.
They've lost some key players, haven't they?
Well, they've lost a lot of key players. Anna Scarlett with pregnancy, and Charlotte Kite with an Achilles injury. And obviously Timmy Para-George through the mid-court. So yeah, they're struggling a little bit there. But
well, these people who go and have children.
Well, that's right.
But yes, that was losing Harrison late in the piece too. Have they got any prospect of replacing with anyone we know?
No, I think they're just going to possibly replace with somebody within the squad that they had contracted, Jess Burke. Yeah, Grace Rasmussen was another one that wasn't there. So they've quite a few injuries, and I'm not sure if they've replaced Charlotte Kite at this stage, because they are very light on their mid-court, especially in that centre role. So I'm not sure if they're looking around for a player within New Zealand.
As the tournament progressed, a good win over the Swifts and a rare one over an Australian team, even if it is pre-season. Yeah,
it was, and the girls really stepped up. We were down in the first half, and I think the difference was bringing Janelle Fowler on at goal shooter. She just had a game face on that we hadn't seen in the first few games, and there was no way anyone was going to knock her over. She shot exceptionally well. I think she only missed 1 goal in the game, and she was just a great target for us. And up against Sonia McCloma, that was a pretty good effort. So it was good to see her really step up and show us what she can actually do.
Was it a case of her just adjusting to the speed and the aggression that we play down here?
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, just the girls in our team throwing the ball to her, getting used to her holding positioning. So, yeah, she got pushed around against the Vixens, against Jiva Mentor, one of the best defenders in the world. So, you know, it was a tough induction for her, but she came through that. She learnt, and I think sitting on the bench and having a look what Tapao Selby Rickett and Jodie Brown were doing on the side, I think was a real bonus for her. So, yeah, it was a really good fight for the girls, and we played exceptionally well in that game, and we were pretty quick as well. So, yeah, it was really good, although the Swiss were missing Monia Gerard. And a lot of teams didn't play all their players all the time. Susan Prattley only came on for the last quarter. But, yeah, we were happy with how we performed in that game.
Right. I mean, that's what the nature of pre-season. You have to mix and match. But that win seemed to spur you on to even better performances. I know a couple of close losses against some very good sides. So the levels seemed to step up and stay there. Yeah,
it did. We lost to the Firebirds by 2. We were up most of the game in that game, which was a bit unfortunate. We didn't have Jodie Brown or Courtney Tyree playing in that game. So that was a great opportunity for Kate Shearer, our young goal attack, to have a go. Probably wasn't one of her better games, but just a good chance for her to step out and see what it's like to play at this level. And our defensive unit really started to pick it up towards the end. You know, Romelda Aiken is a tough cookie to come up against, and you know, we kept them in the shooting percentage of around 70%, and Romelda Aiken wasn't very dominant in that game. So I think we let ourselves down in the attack end in that game, but came back and really pushed them in their attack end, so our defence was pretty good.
What about the return of Wendy Frew? We're all watching that with much anticipation, having a bit of time off, obviously. Is she back into the pace of the game?
Yeah, she is. Wendy's doing really well, and you know, she stepped up. She just had the 1 game out, which was against the Mystics, and she's formed a really good combination with Rachel Rasmussen at goal defence and Philippa Finch at centre, and that's 3 smart girls who know netball pretty well, and pretty dogged in defence. So it was great to see Wendy get out there. Probably struggled in the first game against the Vixens. But then I think she just needed that game to get back into that quick style of netball, and yeah, she she led the team well with Jodie, and yeah, it was good to see her out on court and bring that experience that we need in a pretty much experienced defensive line.
So what part of the court do you think needs the most work after seeing them in game play?
Oh look, I think it's probably our transition, just bringing that ball from our defence through to our mid-court. Excuse me, while our mid-court have played together before, we probably struggled at times to get those connections. And obviously feeding Janelle. You know, people might think it might be easy with a big girl standing there with the arm up in the air, but it's getting the placement right and being aware of the defender and their movement and positioning on her.
And not getting too reliant on it, that's your only form of attack, because some teams have been guilty of that, haven't they, in the past?
Yeah, they have, and they have struggled. And I think Tapao Selby-Rickett showed us as well that she's capable of being a starter in this team. So I think we're very lucky we've got the options. And, you know, Janelle may not be ready for a full game at this level just yet. So Tapao has been shooting exceptionally well, has been playing really well, and does offer us a different style of play. So depending on who our opposition is and the style of the defence, will depend, I think, on who we start in that shooting circle.
What about your confidence in positional options? Because we all know injuries happen. We've had that problem, haven't we? Have you got options perhaps in every position, or more in some and less in others?
Oh look, yeah, I think we're covered. We've got quite a few options in our mid-court. This year, teams could contract 14 players, so our mid-court is an area we've probably overcompensated in. Our defensive unit is reasonably young, and if we were to get an injury in the defence end, we'd probably be a little bit light on, but we were last year when we lost Cheryl Scanlon, so we worked through that. But our defenders are working quite well. There's some really good competition there. I think Rachel Rasmussen has been a standout for us defensively and has really shown her leadership and you know what it's about, having some netball smarts. So we've got some good young options there, a bit of versatility, and Phoenix Cracker showed that she's got great elevation and great height, really put the tall shooters under pressure. So we have got some flexibility there. So fingers crossed, we don't get any injuries. We came through the pre-season really well, so that's a bonus. And you know, having 14's giving us the opportunity to see all players and fight for positions on court.
So what's next in terms of match play preparation? Have you got another pre-season?
Yeah, in a couple of weeks we're off to Timaru to play the Tactics. So that will give us an opportunity to see us against the Tactics. They didn't perform too badly over in the pre-season tournament. And we're looking to do something similar to what we did last year, playing against some old girl stars, I suppose you could call them. So that's in the pipeline, and looking for that to happen in a couple of weeks as well in Dunedin. So just those two games, and then pretty much we're into it. Brisbane, the Firebirds, our first game.
And what of the teams you did see, and again, just accepting the fact that it's not the full lineups, but who impressed you amongst the Australians in particular? Oh,
look, I think the Vixens again. I was a little bit surprised with the Thunderbirds, with their performances. They were up and down. They were without Nat von Berto, and she's a pretty good leader and will direct the play. So I think eventually they will pick up. The Firebirds, I was surprised with them going through not losing any of their games, but they are pretty light through that mid-court and a lot of options defensively. So I think it will be the Vixens and Thunderbirds again, the dominant teams in Australia, with the Swifts not far behind them.
I've looked at all the pre-season results because there's other tournaments elsewhere and one-on-ones. Maybe more evenness, do you think, this year across the whole competition? Because the results are very close and there's been some upsets along the way.
Yeah, there has been, and I think there's been a lot of movement within franchises within New Zealand again, and so I think that is going to be hard to pick who will be the stronger team within New Zealand. You know, we've added a really tall shooter. And, you know, we've seen in the past that tall shooters make a huge difference to a lot of teams. The difference between Australia and New Zealand teams, it's going to be hard to tell. I think first couple of rounds will be interesting to see how they all go. But yeah, maybe there'll be a few more closer matches, and maybe a few more New Zealand teams can win in Australia. That would be nice. That would help, especially when we've got a few games there. So especially our first one, we're targeting the Firebirds as one that we can beat in Australia for sure.
All right, we'll keep us posted throughout the whole campaign. I'm sure you will.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Tom.
much indeed. And if you look out to next week on South Today Sport, you'll see a profile on Janelle Fowler. So that's something to look forward to. That's South Today tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.